Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktavo, parent company of GraphicsFlow, InkSoft, Printavo, and now SignTracker. Welcome to our webinar today. This is a joint venture between Inktavo and Ryonet. Topic of the class today is leveraging software technology to grow your business. And with us, we have a special guest, Ronald Peters, who is the Director of Sales at Ryonet, with us here today. So Ronald, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about what Ryonet is all about.
Yeah. So, again, Ronald Peters over here at Ryonet. Been here for a little over 8 years, located in the Pacific Northwest, so Washington State. That's where we're headquartered. Ryonet, I don't know if you guys are familiar with us or not. Grassroots company that really started from the foundation of education first, right? And that's something that we've always leaned into. Whether it be providing videos, blogs, just the conversations we get to have with people that are interested in getting started into screen printing. Anything that you can think of, right, related to education, screen printing is what we try to jump into and help with. So in this case, talking about using technology like software and such to help scale your business, we're really excited to be able to make you become more familiar with certain things that you can use if you're not already, and what the benefits could be and the value of it. So yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Perfect. Just a quick brag on Ryonet. I suspect there's probably no other organization in our industry that's put more people into the screen printing business than Ryonet. Just from my own, maybe it's slightly anecdotal, but I just know so many people that have gotten started with screen printing, including two of my coworkers. So I'm going to ask one quick question and then we'll kind of dive right into it. So Ronald, what are your thoughts? What are the importance of graphics in the decorated apparel industry from your perspective?
I mean, Craig, I would say that graphics are pretty important, considering that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting some graphics on a t-shirt, right? That's what's going to speak the message, the creativity, whatever it is, whatever reason you're creating a t-shirt for and putting a graphic on it. It's pretty important to have access to the best tools, right? And the best help possible, right? To make sure you're getting artwork that's going to stand out from maybe the person that has the idea to want to screen print, but they don't understand how to actually make something look cool, or how to actually get it to a finished, get the finished product ready to actually print. So I think that artwork is extremely important.
You know, it's interesting. I'm kind of a t-shirt snob, and I don't know if you feel this way. I've just got these t-shirts I've had ever since like concerts growing up, and I can't part with these shirts because they have cool graphics on them. There's kind of an emotional connection to the shirt. There's a memory associated with it. And I can tell you the ones that have gone to the Goodwill, which, by the way, if you have old concert shirts, don't donate them to Goodwill. They actually have quite a bit of value. But the ones that are no longer in the archive are the ones that didn't have cool graphics. And from my point of view, you know, graphics are everything when you're in the decorated apparel industry. And that's what we're going to start off with. We're going to kind of start off talking a little bit about graphics. We're going to lay some kind of foundational information down about the importance of technology. And just quick bio for me, been in the screen printing business since 1970. My dad was a rep for Champion Products, started our own screen printing business in the 80s, blew that up to about $15 million a year. Company we sold it to, bankrupted it. We bought all the artwork back from the bankruptcy court, turned it into clip art and design templates for screen printers, and ran that company for 19 years, and sold the company to InkSoft, and we became part of Inktavo, which is an ecosystem. And there's 4 companies within the Inktavo ecosystem. There's GraphicsFlow, which is the graphics management side. There is InkSoft, which is e-commerce. There is Printavo, which is shop management for printers. And now was our newest addition to our family is SignTracker, which is shop management for the sign making industry. Leveraging software technology to grow your business. So first slide, kind of fought a little bit with what kind of image do I want to put on here to kind of illustrate the point, the contrast between old school ways of doing things and new school. And so the original slide, I had a Model A Ford, if you know what that is. And I went back to the horse and buggy. I think it's a little bit more relatable. And by the way, that Audi there, that's the new Audi that's designed to go up against the Cybertruck from Tesla. And that converts into a pickup truck as well, which is kind of interesting. But, you know, there's big concepts in technology, and especially being a Gen Xer, you know, I didn't grow up around computers. I think I saw my first computer when I was, you know, probably somewhere around sophomore year in high school. And I started coding when I was a senior in high school a while back. And, you know, we didn't grow up around computers. Now everyone in their pocket has a supercomputer, which is remarkable, the things that you can do on a phone or a tablet these days. Adopting technology is about improving your productivity, providing an e-commerce solution, and streamlining the graphic creation process is going to have some real world benefits. And so those real world benefits are going to be things like enhancing your operational efficiency, how quickly you can get orders and how quickly you can collate those orders into production and get them out the door, right? Being able to create an easier buying experience for your customers. It's not just about having great products. You can have the best product in the world, but if you don't create a great buying experience for your customer, they have a lot of places they can go to purchase. Reducing production costs. Everyone's always, wanting to reduce costs. And one of the things that a lot of times people don't take into account when they're reducing costs is the cost of art development. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Decrease lead time on fulfillment of orders. And I think if it was a competition, the person that could get their order out perfectly in the least amount of time is probably going to be the winner, right? And so trying to implement policies and strategies and a workflow that can help you get your orders out the door, expanding market reach. And this is one that's really important to me. I talk to a lot of clients and a lot of small shops, and they always consistently talk about being a local business. And when you incorporate web-based technology, you don't have to be a local business anymore. You can be a virtual business, meaning you can do commerce all over the country utilizing web technology. So one of the things I press my customers on quite frequently is not thinking of yourself as a local business, but thinking of yourself as a virtual business that can do business all over the United States and Canada, or maybe even internationally. Improving the customer experience. And that was what I was talking about before, is not just having that great product, but an experience where the customer really likes working with you. They refer other people to you. They've had a great experience. They want to share that. I know from my personal buying habits, I'm very loyal to the people that have taken care of me over the years and the vendors. Reducing customer turnover, lots of experience, and also being a shop owner. One of the things that is, I think, kind of self-evident is that it's easier to actually get more business from your existing customers than it is to acquire new ones. The cost of acquisition for new customers can be considerably more expensive. So being able to maximize opportunities with your existing customers, obviously we want to attract new ones as well, but maximizing opportunities with existing customers, I believe, is very important. And achieve sustainable growth in a competitive industry. And so we need to find ways to scale and to grow, but also retain profitability. Graphics management software is the first thing we're going to talk about. And what we want to try to do ultimately is bypass that process of having to recreate the screen capture that the customer went to Custom Ink, they screen captured something, they came to you and they said, hey, this is what I want, or I want something like this. Because when you're reproducing that artwork, there's definitely some issues that are involved in that, one of them being copyrights. But that's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. And why do customers go to these sites to do this? It's because you don't necessarily give them an alternative. Can you provide them with options and ideas? If you can't, then they're going to go out and get their own art, and then potentially they can find your competitors, which we don't want. And also we want to be able to reduce that art development costs, whether you're outsourcing or doing it in-house. We want to keep that art development costs down, and we want to keep that turnaround time fired up so we can move orders really quickly. So having a library of designs that are kind of starting points and you can use to collaborate with your customers is, I think, a very good best practice in your business. A lot of times people really don't know how to go about doing that. We want to be able to empower everyone on your team to create graphics. And we did that with the GraphicsFlow platform, you'll see a little bit later, using a simple little in-app editor. And one of the things that occurred to me when we were developing this technology is there was a pretty big barrier to success for a lot of shops when they first started, which was, you had to have some skills in a graphic design software. It's gotten easier because there's online programs like Canva, and there's some, freeware programs and things out there like Inkscape and some other programs, but you still have to learn a fundamental set of graphic skills, especially if you're screen printing, because you have to prepare artwork, especially, there's special art preparation for screen printing, and there's ground rules, and it's a little trickier. I noticed that on YouTube, the videos of mine, they get the most views or anything to do with screen printing, artwork preparation. Those are always my best views. There's a hunger for that. because in a sense, it's a vocation. It shouldn't be a barrier to being in our industry that you have to be a graphic designer. If you had to be a graphic designer to be successful in our industry, I think that would be a very kind of a chilling factor. But you do have to have a basic knowledge and understanding of graphics. Quicker art approvals, so your shop can focus on printing so you can get merch out the door. If you don't have an art approval process, you really need to have an art approval process, because if you don't get art approved, then mistakes get made, and then you end up having to credit the customer, or you're donating misprints to the local charity. So we want to make sure that everyone has a good, solid foundation in art approval, and speeding up that sales process. Customers have a tendency to be indecisive. They know what they want, but they don't really know it till they see it. So being able to have a collaborative process with your customers where we can get ideas in front of them, they go, yep, that's what I want. Nope, that's not what I want. Yep, I like that, but could you do this too? And then also staying on trend. And if you're tuned into the merch world, trends move, they evolve, they change. A lot of the graphical trends that we see in our industry are retail inspired, meaning it's what people are seeing online, or it's what people are seeing in the stores. It's what people are seeing on the sidelines of an NFL game. And you want to create an interactive showcase of your design so you can share that with your prospects. I think that's a great best practice. I talk to shops all the time and always ask them this one question. Hey, you produced all these great graphics over the years. How are you leveraging those graphics to get new clients? And I typically get the answer would be like, yeah, I know I got all this great stuff, but I've never spent time to organize it. And so my clients don't even really know I've done all this great work. Well, guess what? That's your portfolio. Being able to use your artwork that you've produced over the years as a portfolio, I think is a great best practice. So how do your customers go about selecting graphics? 4 methods for art selection. The decorator asks the buyer to go online and find something. The buyer already has graphics that they developed. The decorator must produce a custom graphic that comes up frequently, and the buyer selects from stock designs that can be easily customized. So let's talk about those 4 different methods. So buyer selects graphics online. So now the sales process is controlled by the buyer. They're controlling every aspect of the sales experience. The buyer can find your competitors, and that can result in losing the order. So you send a client to go, hey, find a graphic online, and they land on custom ink, and guess what? They find exactly what they want on custom ink, and you lose a customer. And honestly, whose fault is that? It's probably your fault for doing that. So we want to keep them connected to us in terms of the graphic selection process. The graphics may not be suitable for your production process, and everyone's had this problem where customers grab something online and you have to do a 2 or 3 color screen print because that's how you got it priced out. And they bring you this graphic that's got 100 colors and gradients and blends and metal effects and all kinds of things that aren't really possible to screen print unless you do a simulated process print, which is a pretty time-consuming and expensive process that's really only conducive to bigger minimums. Copyright issues, you have to be sensitive to that. They come to you, customers will come to you with, clip art and designs. Hey, can you do this Denver Broncos logo? No, you can't, because ultimately who's liable for the copyright is you as the printer, not necessarily them as the consumer. So dealing with copyright issues from customer supplied art where you don't necessarily know where it even came from. And then you always have higher art development costs when you have to recreate things, because you have to take that file, possibly vectorize it, and get it into a format that enables your customers to go in, enables you to go in and get it prepped for, film, so you can burn screens and screen print. So, when you have to recreate that artwork first, that's an extra step that has a cost associated to you, whether you're doing it yourself or you're outsourcing that piece. And then you have a longer production cycle. So if you're trying to do quick turnarounds and you're having to rebuild graphics or outsource that, it obviously delays the actual fulfillment of the order. So customer supplied artwork. So one of the challenges with customer supplied artwork, and if you look at the visual there where we have the Sun Valley logo for an actual real medical, I think Sun Valley Regional Health Center, I think is what that is. That's their logo. They can get that logo from anybody, and it becomes a commodity. And you get a buyer turnover, and that buyer's a little bit savvier, and they send that artwork out to somebody else to get a quote, and it comes back cheaper. How are you going to keep that customer? It's tricky, and there's nothing you can tell the new buyer that's going to convince them they're not getting apples to apples. As soon as they see that lower price, they're going to convince themselves that the product, the print quality is good, that the quality of the blanks is good. It's kind of human nature. So what we don't want to do is invite clients to shop around for pricing, because you're no longer controlling the purchasing process, the customer is. And so you also have issues with the graphics being suitable for the process, and you're probably going to have to rebuild that artwork. Now, if it comes from a marketing team, and the marketing team at the hospital put the graphic together, you're going to make the assumption that, hey, this graphic is good to go, it should be production ready. Well, it's not necessarily the case, because they might not be experienced in creating artwork for, say, screen printing or vinyl. Customer supplied artwork is an important part of what we do, but again, it's somewhat commoditized because they can take that artwork to somebody else. And I had an interesting conversation with the client at the trade show in Indianapolis at the Graphics Pro show. And he told me, he said, 95% of my customers bring me the art. And my response back to him was, that's a limiting factor in terms of your customer base. If you're only able to do business with the people that bring you art, maybe they're not really considering you as a creative resource. And it was kind of a risky thing for me to say, but the customer's like, yeah, you know what, you're right. It says, I've always had that mentality because I really didn't have an art capability within my business. We had a great conversation. He ended up becoming a customer. Custom art development, from that Mueller's design that has the semi on it, that could have very easily 15, 20, 30 hours worth of illustration time in Photoshop to create something like that. And those kind of orders, they make sense when you have bigger orders, but you have to have high enough minimum order quantities to justify the art development. And it's expensive to develop art. One of our staff artists freelances and does that kind of work, like that truck there. It charges $500 to $1,000 to illustrate somebody's vehicle. Being able to build your business around custom art development makes sense when you have big orders with high minimum order quantities, lots of reorders, but it certainly doesn't make a lot of sense on the smaller orders. Charging for art, customers don't want to pay for art charges. Let's be candid about this. But sometimes you have to, and you have to draw the line and say, hey, listen, I can't do this semi-truck on your 24-piece order with 3 revisions. I'd lose money on that. Being able to kind of create some boundaries with your customers. Customizable stock designs already prepared from a professional graphic designer. You're controlling the sales process. You're reducing your art development costs. You're establishing value for your creative services. You're making it easier for your customers to buy from you. You already know that the graphics are production ready because they're prepared for printing already. You don't have to worry about copyright issues because you're licensing the images from the supplier. And you can move really quickly. If you get an opportunity for some state championship shirts and you've got 20 championship designs to choose from, and all you got to do is localize the colors and the mascot and the text, you're in business. So let me show you guys how we address the graphics management side of things. And what I've done here is I've logged into GraphicsFlow. And I think most people that have been in the business for a while have probably purchased stock designs or clip art, whether it's from Etsy or Adobe Stock or one of the online websites. GraphicsFlow is a little different because with GraphicsFlow, it's a massive library of design templates, clip art, and fonts. And so every single month, I see we just dropped the November artwork. Every single month, we come out with new designs, and those are automatically populated into the GraphicsFlow platform. And so instead of having to create something from scratch for a customer, we can very easily send them some ideas. They can connect with the ideas, collaborate with us. We can get something in front of them very quickly. And all of a sudden, we don't have that long development cycle because people want immediate gratification. And, you don't have that particular, issue of having to do custom graphics for every client. And it's interesting. We did some fun stuff for November. I'm noticing there, oh, wow, that's a good looking design. If you're going to sell into a yoga studio, that's pretty fun. So the other part of GraphicsFlow besides the design templates is clip art. And so one of the things that we do in the platform every month is we take the parts and pieces out of the templates and make them independent design elements. So if you want to kind of piece your own things together, you can do that. But sometimes you just need a good tiger mascot, and you can come in here and, all different types and styles of artwork. And what's kind of crazy, you can even edit this clip art right in the app. Just go to customize. And I want to make this more of a navy blue. We can do that. Want to make that more of an athletic gold. We'll do that. Save it, download it, bring it into Illustrator, bring it into CorelDRAW, bring it into InDesign, bring it into Affinity Designer, Inkscape, whatever, even potentially Canva. So the idea is that, good templates are made from good clip art. And in order to have good templates, you have to have good fonts. And so in GraphicsFlow, there's about 560 fonts. We used to sell these fonts for $15 to $30 a piece. We are well known for our fonts. These go back to the days when, prior to the rebranding as GraphicsFlow, when the company was called Digital Art Solutions, a lot of our standardized fonts became very common sports fonts that you would see, like our game day fonts or all of our sports scripts. But one of the things that's really popular these days is, I call them lazy scripts, handwritten lettering fonts. And there's a huge variety of fonts in GraphicsFlow. In fact, if you're into the Marvel universe and you want the particular font for Captain America, there you go. There's Captain America font there. We named it American Captain. The basic concept behind GraphicsFlow is it's a depository of artwork and of starting points. You can also upload all your own artwork. And if you upload your own artwork, one of the interesting things that GraphicsFlow will do is it'll create previews of all the common graphics files. So it'll create a beautiful preview of an Illustrator file, Corel file, JPEGs, obviously, even DST embroidery files, EPS files, PDFs, Photoshop files, PNGs, even SVGs. And so when we uploaded this Illustrator file, it created this wonderful high-resolution preview. We can assign printing methods, dimensions, the colors. I've assigned keyword tags to these particular files. So if I want to come in here and type in, I need everything from Central High School, I can pull up all the Central files, and then anyone on the team can download the art. And where this becomes really handy is you can create galleries. So if you upload your own art, you can use the art approvals functionality in GraphicsFlow to create a gallery that you can get in front of your customer. And so we just add that artwork to a gallery. It's called an art approval. The customer can see all the designs. We can share this gallery with the customer. We can change background colors. If we want to come in here and change the background colors, we can do all of that. And at that point, if we want to send it off to the customer, all we need to do is share it. And the way you would share it is with this sharing link. You just say invite. You determine how much interactivity you want to give them in terms of communicating with you on this gallery. You can have them view only, view and comment, or view, comment, and approve. And people use this functionality for art approvals as well, because they have to click through the little approve button if they sign up on the final graphic. But probably the most exciting part of the GraphicsFlow platform is what we call Art Portal. And what Art Portal is a place where your customers can go. They can look at your art. If they want you to, maybe they want to do a specific type of graphic, maybe they're looking for a soccer design, they could click on that design, they could put the notes in on what they want it to say. They can type in their email, fill out a little form as to when they need it, what the project is all about, maybe who their sales rep is. If they want to upload source artwork, they can do that. And when they're done with that, guess what? In your GraphicsFlow account, you get what's called a design request. You can go into that design request and you can see exactly what they asked for. And even better than that, you can edit the design. And so folks that have a GraphicsFlow Elite account, we are creating these files in Adobe Illustrator and then a duplicate set of the file for CorelDRAW users. That's how we create the file, and the customer can download those editable files with the fonts and everything. But you don't need to do that. Anyone on your team can just click on Customize, and we can edit the native Illustrator file. We can swap out the clip art, change the fonts, change the colors. We can go and edit every single aspect of this file. And when we're done editing the file, we can download a production file that we can further do editing in a third-party app like Illustrator, Corel, Affinity Designer, whatever we're working with. If I change this to Cougars, it's a multi-layer text effect, so I'm changing both layers. We'll keep that as soccer. We'll change that to CHS right there. Hit enter. We'll change this to central. Hit enter. Want to change the colors? We'll just go over here and change that color to more of a red. Change that color to our navy blue. Hit apply. Save the design. save it, and then I would add it to an art approval. And this is how I'd fire it over the customer. So I'd create a new art approval. Send it to the customer. They would see it. They can comment back to me. We're notified using the messaging system that's built right into GraphicsFlow. And when they're ready to, they add a comment, I'm emailed and notified in the app that they commented. When they're ready to sign off, they just hit approve. They got to click through my disclaimer and they're done. GraphicsFlow is an all-encompassing way of managing your graphics, getting ideas in front of your customers, allowing them to collaborate, and the net result is a production-ready file that you can go straight to film for screen printing. So we don't, obviously it'll work for other processes, DTF, DTG, sublimation, vinyl graphics, but the files that you're downloading are production ready, and you have complete latitude to go in and edit those files. So that's the first part of the Inktavo ecosystem. So let's kind of jump into e-commerce here. So first thing we want to talk about is why e-commerce. Pandemic required more people to purchase online. So during the pandemic, things that we would normally not purchase online, like groceries, all of a sudden folks were purchasing groceries online, and consumers grew accustomed to shopping online. I think for my own personal consumer habits, I preferred doing it that way. Many buyers, their product selection process would start online. Younger buyers prefer the online buying experience to brick and mortar. So I noticed with my two daughters that are in their late 20s, they both would just prefer to go online and pick things out as opposed to going into a store. So it's a consumer purchasing habit. And a lot of the purchasing for online and vendor selection is being driven by social media. So whether it's Instagram or, for the older folks, Facebook, and now TikTok, which has taken over the universe. If you don't give your customers a hassle-free buying experience, they have a lot of latitude. There's a lot of different places that they can go. The advantages of selling online, you can go to market very quickly. There's a state championship opportunity. You can literally have the store ready to go right after the conclusion of the game. You can reach a wider audience outside your local market, so you're not limiting yourself to just being local. You can sell all over the country. You're also collecting metrics and very valuable information about consumer habits. So you kind of see what's selling, you're getting reporting, you know what's working, you know what's not working. You can call an audible and switch up product mixes because you're collecting all that data on what's selling. And also reaching underserved niche markets. There are certain markets they're kind of right under your nose. Maybe people aren't really capitalizing on those niche markets. And again, you're controlling the customer's buying experience and expediting the purchasing process. In today's day and age, most folks are purchasing on their phone or their tablet. We processed through InkSoft and through Printavo last year hundreds of millions of dollars worth of orders, and 80% of it was done on a phone. There's basically two types of e-commerce experiences with most of your customers. And as you kind of start to go through your path of figuring out what direction you're going with e-commerce, the first type is more like an online order form, making it easy for your client to approve the artwork, enabling the client to select quantity, sizes, colors. You don't have all the human error of a paper order form, and you're getting paid up front. So this is an example of just a basic kind of an online order form. This is actually through Printavo merch, or the customer can just basically go and pick out what they want, add it to a cart, check out. And then you have dedicated online stores. And that's a very different experience. That's more like a website. And you're creating a more complete buying experience. You have a multitude of products on there. You're basically setting up that store so it's either evergreen, where it's there all the time, or a temporary store that you're going to run for 3 weeks, collate all the orders, produce in bulk, and then shut the store down. But it also freezes out the competition. And I think that's one of the biggest advantages of selling online is if you have somebody tied up with an online store, it's hard for the competitors to come in and scoop that because you've just made it super convenient. And if you take it a step past that and set up like a customer portal where they can do reorders and kind of self-service, it makes it even harder for people to go elsewhere. You can also integrate online stores with social media and email marketing and collecting payment up front. And you'll see that in both places, collecting payment up front. That's one of the biggest advantages of e-commerce is you're not having to give out credit terms. And typically you're doing a revenue share. So you're collecting a retail price and you're giving a customer a percentage back. And so in the case of like a school group, instead of having to get a PO and go through the official channels and wait 2 months to get paid, you're actually writing them a check. And believe me, the faculty sponsors and teachers, they love not going through a PO process. So when you're creating a web store, a couple of quick little tips. You need to make sure it's easy to navigate. The web store should not be complex, should not be busy. It should be visually pleasing to the eye, but it's got to be easy to navigate. We always recommend grouping products together by category. So for instance, you put your wearables together, your drinkware together, maybe your headwear or embroidered goods together. Establish consistent branding with colors, fonts, and logos. Make sure your store is mobile friendly. That's critical. Whatever platform you're using, the store has to be mobile friendly. People need to be able to purchase on their phone or their tablet. And you have to also consider your production processes and minimum order quantities. If you're a screen printer and your exclusive process for decoration is screen printing, then you're probably going to be running a store for a period of time, closing the store, collating the orders, hoping that you hit your minimum order quantities, and then bulk producing. But now with some of the digital transfer processes that are out there, you also have the ability of some lower minimums, and also choosing a fulfillment model based on your production capacity, such as bulk ordering or printing on demand. If you're screen printing everything and you have one-offs, it's not going to make sense to do that. But if you have a direct garment printer, it's going to make sense for you to do a print on demand where order comes in, you process the order, you print it one off at a time, bag it, ship it, done. And then also you always have the option of outsourcing. And a good example of that is one of the most profitable things that you can sell in your decoration business is banners, and every event needs a banner. If you look at even graduation signage, my son is a senior at XYZ high school. That's very, very profitable work, but you don't have to do the production. There's ways of doing the production where you're using a print to the trade company. They're just getting the order, they're fulfilling it, blind drop shipping, and you get to keep the profit, which is, to me, that's absolutely awesome. So let's kind of build out a store real quick here, and I'll show you how we would do that in the InkSoft platform. And I'm in my InkSoft store. This is a typical template store that I've created, a school store. It's my template. It's a store that I can use as a basis of really any other store that I want to create. It's my starting point. And the way I got here is the first time I built out the store, I just went create new store. This is how I started. I would go in and name the store. I'd put in a URL. So we could just call this Central Boosters 2024. In InkSoft, I'm not limited to using the InkSoft URL. It will use that URL by default. I can change this, but I can also redirect to a domain. So if the Central Boosters has centralboosters.org/merch, I can redirect the store to /merch so it looks completely integrated into their website and doesn't have any mention of InkSoft, which I think that's one of the really big advantages of InkSoft. From here, I would go through a process of picking out all the settings for the store. Is the store going to be private? Is it going to be public? Who's the main contact person? What are the branding, uploading the logo and the color theme? Is it going to have the InkSoft designer in it? Are we going to connect it with the production schedule so we're being specific as to whether or not when we're going to deliver the goods versus print on demand? Your shipping methods and pickup methods you're offering, any kind of specialized checkout settings, notifications, linking it to social media. Maybe you have specific store policies. Maybe you want to link that store to a specific domain instead of using the InkSoft domain. Once we had gone through this, we are going to save these as default so we don't have to go through them each time. But there's an even quicker way to make a store, and that's by cloning. And so if I went into a store and I set up my template store, in that template store, we could kind of start with this store that I was just in a minute ago. We can clone the store and it makes a duplicate. And the difference with a clone store versus just starting a store from scratch is we can carry over all of the products and the artwork into the clone store. So let's see, where's my store? I know it's up here somewhere. Here's my store. And so I would go to this store and I would just say clone. And then I would name the new store, the new URL, and I would say include products and store art. And if I include products and store art, it'll allow me to swap out all the graphics from Central Boosters with the graphics from East Eagles, and I don't have to do that manually. So every product that came over from that store that had the Central Boosters logos on it, I could say, hey, take every product that has this logo on it and switch it out to this East Eagles logo, and it'll do that globally, whether it's in the store or not. And so let me show you kind of what that ends up looking like. So let's go back to my store here. And once I cloned it, it ended up looking like this store. Just like that. So that's what it looks like. I went to Style Editor, and all I did is I went in and changed the color theme, so to gold from the original red. I went into my settings, and I swapped out the logos. So I swapped out the old logos with the new logos. And then I did something kind of interesting. This store's kind of got a couple interesting things. But let me show you, how we'd add components to the store. I'm going to do that by deleting this component. So the way we add components to the store, we'll get the basic shell when we first start, but you just hit the little plus button here, and every one of these objects is a component. So that could be like a testimonial, that could be a block of products, that could be a fundraiser. So I'm going to add a fundraiser here. And that fundraiser, we're going to go in here and set a financial goal. And we can set the description for the fundraiser, an end date for the fundraiser. So let's end that on, we're going to end that on the 31st of December. The financial goal is going to be an amount per unit. So $5 from every sale is going to be given to the school or organization. Or what we could do is set that up as a percentage as well. It's up to me how I set that up. And in real time, as orders are placed on this store, the customer is going to be notified in this banner. So it's going to be notified in real time as I've actually placed some orders on this store already. So it's already showing me that we've raised $500 so far. So once I have the store set up to add products, super easy. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to store admin, creating products, super easy. I just say create new. I've already got a catalog of the products that I frequently use. So these are things that I use all the time and I've added into my store. And let's see, we'll add just a new t-shirt graphic and I'll upload a vector file. So let's upload a vector file real quick. And these are all files that I created in GraphicsFlow and I just saved them as PDF files. That's all I did. So created the file in GraphicsFlow, downloaded it as a PDF file. And when I upload it, what's going to happen is InkSoft is going to parse out all the vectors. So it's tracking all the layers and colors for me. And I'll show you why that's important. Because right now I just have a gray shirt selected, but now I'm going to add a navy shirt. So when you're using a non-industry platform, you're creating all these mockups in Illustrator, Corel, Canva, third-party application. InkSoft is going to create these all dynamically. So Gildan 2000 t-shirt has roughly 60 colors. I've just picked 2, but this color combination right here really isn't going to look good on the navy, but looks good on the gray or white. So all I have to do is go over here and say colorways, create new colorways, and I can edit that vector graphic right here. I just say, take all the navy, make that gray, hit done, save it. And now I have this colorway on the navy, this colorway on the ash, creates the mockups dynamically. I want to create the product. So I can go over here and take out the specific description for Gildan. If I want to be less specific, I can determine which color shirt gets displayed first in the thumbnail. I can customize the SKU. I can put my price in here. I can override the prices on the bigger sizes if I want to. And I'm putting in retail prices because we're going to do a revenue share on this. I'm going to hit finish. And then all I need to do is add it to the store. Super easy. Just add a featured product, manage products. It's just sitting right here. Say plus, add it. And then I'm just going to drag that up right underneath. Where are we going to put it? I'll put it right under here. Hit done. And there's my product. But I did something different with this store. So one of the things that I did with this store, I'm going to discard these changes, is I added the InkSoft designer into this store. And so the customer can pick the t-shirt. I took graphics from GraphicsFlow. I made editable, I uploaded the PDF files into the InkSoft designer. So I uploaded these PDF files, but I uploaded them and swapped out the static art with art I just typed in. So I just replaced this line right here with insert sport with the same font, because the fonts in GraphicsFlow match the InkSoft fonts. And then the customer can just come in here and type in soccer. They can get a price, they can check out, and they're done. So that customer that wants to have the ability to design their own shirt, they can do that, but I'm limiting them in this case just to the customizable designs that I want to limit them to. I'm not giving them all 20,000 designs from the InkSoft designer. I'm just giving them the ability to edit the designs for that I created, that with the correct school colors. We're just name dropping them. So that's a pretty typical example. I know it's a bit of a whirlwind on how InkSoft stores work. It's very different from a generic platform like a Shopify. It's graphics driven. We have the ability to process graphics. When I upload a file from a DST embroidery file, InkSoft is going to allow me to go in and actually, assign thread colors to the design. So that's kind of an awesome thing, is you have a DST file, you can pick the Madeira color palette, assign thread colors, creates a rendering, and you can use that to create your mockup. Shop management software. So we're covering the ecosystem. What have we covered so far? We talked about managing your graphics. We talked about having a powerful e-commerce solution that's industry specific, designed for decorators, but shop management software. How you get orders through your business and out the door. There's a lot of nuances to the production side of things within the decorated apparel industry. And those are very different than using a generic platform like Trello to do project management, or in our company, we use a product called Asana to manage products. It doesn't have any of the nuance of decorated apparel. And so ultimately what we're doing with shop management software is we're wanting to streamline and automate processes. So including like your order management, your scheduling, getting things out to the equipment, making sure we're operating our equipment at maximum efficiency. We want to eliminate manual errors and, having duplicate efforts. We want to make things more efficient. We want a better planning and coordination, allocation of tasks, so everybody knows what they need to do, when they need to do it at a glance, building an accountability loop. Ensure orders are completed on time. We want to reduce delays and enhance customer satisfaction ultimately, and provide a scalable solution that can accommodate the company's growth. So as you grow, the software and the tools for shop management grow with you, and facilitate integration with other systems such as graphic systems, e-commerce, and shipping providers. And one of the things that's been really exciting for me this week is we're getting ready to announce the integration between Printavo and InkSoft. So orders that are created in InkSoft flow seamlessly into Printavo, so clients can go in and use Printavo's production cycle with their InkSoft orders. And I can't tell you any more beyond that, but I got to produce the video that kind of is the introductory video, and stay tuned. You'll see more about that in the very near future. So, if you're creating an online proposal or quote, there's a lot of things that go into that are kind of specific to our industry, like the decoration methods, the supplier information. So Printavo, just like InkSoft, is linked to a supplier feed. So InkSoft is linked to 29 of the industry's popular suppliers, especially the big three, which is Alpha Broder, Sanmar, and SNS Activewear. So we're not having to pull in product descriptions, photography individually. That's just part of a feed. When I create a quote in InkSoft or create a quote in Printavo, I don't have to go digging around for all that information. That's linked in. So good graphics sell products, boring graphics don't. So that's a really good tip. Having things that look better are going to sell better. we don't want to be that commodity broker. Anybody can put logos on stuff, but can somebody come up with a relatable graphic? And you want to be really conscientious about how you craft your product mix. You want to look for products that work well together. So, if you're doing a polo shirt and you're doing a left chest embroidery, tying that in with a graphic that's similar for a baseball cap. It's a good example. Don't fire and forget. Make sure to have a follow-up strategy. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make in their business is when they're working with new customers, instead of, they fire off an email or leave a phone message and that's it. Customers have to be nudged, and using technology to nudge customers is, I think, one of the coolest parts about Printavo, because it's got integrated text messaging. Somebody didn't pay you, you can just send out a little reminder email with a pay online button. That's kind of awesome. So condition your customers to pay in advance. So let me take you through a quick spin of Printavo just to kind of give you an idea. When I first log into my Printavo account, again, it's a web app just like InkSoft and GraphicsFlow. When I first log in, I'm going to land on the calendar. And this is a visual reference that's showing me all the different jobs that I have in production. They're all color-coded based on what's going on. And the way we've got these color-coded, anything in green is ready to go. Anything in orange relates to the art department, and anything red is a no-go, meaning it's stopped because maybe the customer declined the quote or the artwork was not approved. There was a problem with the artwork. So at a glance, I can see, monthly, weekly, and daily what's going on in the shop. And if I'm going to create a quote, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down here to quotes. It's pretty straightforward. If I want to create a quote, I can go and edit an existing quote if I want to open one up and edit it, but I would just go over here to quote. And then I have my customer database built right in here. So I can select a customer. We'll just click. Good old Adam always gets selected for demos here. We'll pull in all of Adam's information. I'll give this a quick little nickname, and we'll call this Adam's 144 units, and it's due 12/1. So I've got just on that nickname, I've got some basic information. So at a glance, I can keyword search for this, and I can pull it up by that nickname. Customer notes, customer will see this, put in a note that says, get 10% off your next order when you refer a new customer, right? So customer will see this. This is production notes, and I'll say slow pay, 100% down. Okay, whenever I want to put in there, I can put that in there. If I have a production file, I'll attach the production file. So that will travel with the order. So we've got this little PDF file right here. So that is my file that's all ready for color separation. So that'll travel with the order and the quote and the invoice. Over here, this is where I'm going to assign it to a person that's going to be the responsible party. I can set up all my dates in here. Payment terms, I think we already decided 100% deposit here. If I do put in at 30, it'll automatically calculate the payment due date based on there. And then you have what's called profiles. So a profile would be how it gets shipped. So for instance, if you're a contract printer, I could set up a profile for Sound and Fury. I'm doing contract printing from them. And so when the quote and the invoice goes out, it's coming from Sound and Fury, not from my business. It's got their logo, their branding, their address. It just looks like it's coming from them. And this is super handy for contract printers. Then I'm going to add an item here. So we'll just add a item that's going to be screen printed. We'll just add a Gildan 2000 t-shirt here. We'll add it in Ash. I'm going to pull it from the feed from SNS. We'll put in our quantities here. So we've got that in there, and then we're going to add an imprint. So I'm going to add a singular imprint. I'm going to use a screen printing pricing matrix. And so I can upload all my pricing matrices. This is a 3-color design. I am going to, let's see, add that. And then I'm going to create a mock-up. So right here, I'm just going to create a mock-up. Oh, I'm going to put a price in there. I'll just put in a price of $15 for now. And we'll just add a mock-up here, add design. And I'm just going to upload that same graphic. Can't remember if we did the soccer design. We'll upload it. Because this is an SVG file, I can go and recolor it too if I want to. So if I want to make this a little bit lighter blue, I can do that because I can recolor just like in InkSoft. I can recolor it. And let's save move that up a little bit. And we'll save that mock-up. And we'll go back to the quote. And then I'm going to refresh the pricing because we established it as a 3-color and now it quoted it out for me. So I could either put in the price, I put in $15, but now I've overridden the price because based on my pricing calculation in grid that I uploaded, it's using my standard screen printing grid for 3-color on lights and it's quoting it out as 808. So at this point, I've got the quote, I'll save and finish. I want to send this off to a customer now. All I got to do is go down here and say quote approval sent. It's automatically going to send the quote to the customer with it actually has the button to pay on there because I established that as 100% actually this one I did that 30. I switched it over. But if I did 100% prepayment, they could click on the quote and pay right there. And at this point, I'm going to process this out for production. So we've got the quote in there. The customer comes back, they approve it. It's automatically going to change the status to quote approved or quote declined, depending on what happened here. And then I've got all my different production statuses here. And notice quote approved terms, customers are paid. It'll automatically set that. So when they paid, it'll change this order status and also send them a receipt as well. So everything in InkSoft and Printavo and GraphicsFlow is tuned towards decoration. They're not general type tools. They're designed for the nuance of decoration. So in the InkSoft platform, we're focused on e-commerce. In the GraphicsFlow platform, we're focused on the graphic side of the business, art creation, art approvals. And then in Printavo, we're focused on order processing, production. I've got all my production tasks set up here for all my jobs. We have a production schedule. I haven't scheduled this for production, but I can schedule it for production. I can add it to my power scheduler now. And I can also go in here, we'll go down into power scheduler. And we'll go to screen printing, try the only job I've got in there. And here's my job. All the different statuses for screen printing are right in here. They'll change. If I change production statuses to embroidery, these are all going to change. These are all the things that I need to do for embroidery, like test stitch out. So to go in and schedule the job, all I have to do is put in the amount of production time that this job is going to require. So this job is going to require, let's see right now, we've got it at, what do we have it at? 15 minutes. On Monday, I have 0 of my 840 minutes allocated to me. And so we're going to say this job is going to take 240 minutes. We are going to assign that to a station. So we're going to put that on embroidery machine number 1. And then from here, I can just drag it into, once I get this set up, let's see here. We can drag it into a date, schedule it for production. And it's going to tell me how much time I have left. So it's a very powerful tool for scheduling your production. So there's a lot of moving parts in Printavo, but the basic concept is streamlining, automating your entire workflow. So you've seen the whole ecosystem. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining us today. Thank you, Ronald, for taking time out of your busy day. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime. So again, thanks for joining us on the webinar.